All right. So I guess now you understand what the plan was.
Absolutely. At Colts Law, we talk Indianapolis Colts football.
We're going to stick to what we know, fundamentals and technique, 1% better every day.
What's going on, Colts Nation? I'm Lawrence Owen. This is Colts Law, as usual, joined by Colts Loyalist. And today we're going to have a roundtable. Right now we have one guy with us, but I've had a few people that said that they're going to stop in and discuss this season's 2021 season of the Indianapolis Colts with me. Today, as you see, I've got myself one guest that is sitting here with us. Why don't you introduce yourself, tell everybody a little bit about yourself, where they can find you. Or... can you hear? Maybe he's not able to hear right now.
Rondo, can you hear me?
Nope. He killed it. All right, he'll be back. He's having tech issues. My bad. Loyalist. So today we're going to be discussing a few things. Mainly how the Indianapolis Colts could ultimately overachieve or how they could ultimately underachieve this year, right? And I did kind of a little bit of something like that, 2 separate videos a few weeks back about similar situation, but with Carson Wentz. This time we're going to talk about it all in one video, and we're going to talk about the Indianapolis Colts in general as a whole. You know, whether it be just one specific player or a group or an entire, offense, defense, special teams, coaching, however it is you want to discuss this. Kind of started off, kind of your idea. I kind of broadened it a little bit, but it seems like it was a good idea, I thought. I want to thank everybody that's in the live chat right now. I really, really appreciate you guys. Joe Schmidt, Matthew Stansbury, what's going on? I'm sure I'll have some more people in the chat as well. Give us your thoughts, ideas, questions going into this season on something similar to this topic as we discuss this. Now, since this was kind of your initial idea, Loyalist, why don't you go ahead and drop your first thoughts?
All right. I just, I was sitting there today and I was like thinking to myself, everything's been sort of studied out, and I just was thinking, okay, what happens if, X goes wrong or Y goes wrong? And how is it, that we're set up to hopefully overcome that stuff? For an example, like what would happen if we lost Carson Wentz before week 3 or 4, I mean, are we still in the same position that we were in a few years ago with Tolzien as a backup and Andrew Luck being the question? I mean, I know it was more of a question, is he going to start the season? But you know what I'm saying? I was just wondering, what do we do in that situation? Is Eason the guy, or do we look for a more veteran person, And I was just thinking about stuff like that. And like I said, I get bored sometimes and I just go right to the Colts, And like I said, I like the way you added to it because I was more on the negative side of things. And I like what you came up with a lot better.
All right. Well, let's discuss that whole quarterback situation. What if Carson Wentz gets hurt early? Are the Colts in a situation where they could succeed or fail the rest of the season, like what you're talking about? When we had to have Scott Tolzien quarterback and a bunch of other guys, Curtis Painter or something, way back in the day when Peyton Manning went down with that neck injury. Honestly, I think the Colts are in a decent situation right now. I really like the 2 quarterbacks that they have backing up at this point. I think Jacob Eason has got really good arm talent. As long as he doesn't have to move around too much, I think he's incredibly accurate and has a strong arm. And the good thing for him is, like you said, we have a very good offensive line. And Frank Reich is very good about, getting the ball out of somebody's hands quickly so that, they don't have to feel that pressure, don't have to move around as much. So I think Jacob Eason is a guy that could come in and produce if Carson Wentz says go down, early, week 2, week 3 or something like that, if something like that would happen. We're rejoined again. Hopefully everything's going well. Why don't you tell everybody a little bit about yourself and where they can find you?
Yeah, definitely. Alex Arando Griffin, currently a podcast with the Say It Again Network, run my own show, Colts Beat. Anywhere and everywhere you can listen to a podcast, Sprout Podcast, Spotify, Stitcher, you can catch us, you can find us there. Give us a follow on Twitter, IA Colts Beat. Again, got a lot of content out there for you guys. Try to bring something new. Also, we will be coming to you from Lucas Oil Stadium at week 1. To interact with a lot of you and see you there in person.
All right. So we're discussing about, what if, things that, how the Colts could succeed or ultimately, underachieve, overachieve this year. And Loyalist brought up, what if Carson Wentz goes down early? Are you comfortable with the quarterbacks that are sitting behind him going in, say, week 2, week 3, week 4, and they have to come in and start?
Me personally, I'm going to say no. And it's not a discredit to Eason or Sam Ehlinger. It's just the fact that obviously you're never expecting your starter guy to go down. The name of the game is obviously keeping your starters healthy and keeping your quarterback healthy, but you're never looking at your backup to, if he happens to have to come in, are we going to be okay? So, and for all means, I'll gladly be on that, but it's not something that I would say that as a fan or even as a player you're not looking forward to. That's like, I understand we're playing the what if game, but that's like probably the one position group you don't want to really find out.
That is true. I mean, we all hope and pray that he stays healthy throughout the entire season. His history does not back it up to where, it seems like he's got a 50-50 chance of playing the entire season this year. So you kind of got to look back. Do you think the Colts could be still a playoff team if, say, he goes down like last year? Like let's say like last year, he's either not performing up to standard or he gets hurt, say, week 11. Do you think the backups are good enough to maybe help get him into the playoffs? Or do you think that season might be done at that point? Either one of you.
Well, definitely just with the team as is. Definitely with the way the team is as currently, we're defense first. This offense does this team, as we've seen with the Peyton Mannings and the Andrew Lucks. This team is clearly defense first. It's more so on the offense to not lose the game, but they don't necessarily have to go out there and win the game. So if it comes to be that Jacob Eason has to take over snaps under center, it's really, he's got a game manager because the defense is going to carry the load. He's going to have to put on some points. Taylor and Mack in the backfield definitely going to help. The back line is so elite as he's probably going to touch. Receiver weapons aren't the best. They are capable. But he's not going to be necessarily be forced, really, Wentz, Eason, whoever is back there. They're not going to be forced to do too much. The defense is going to take the lead on this team. So it's more, again, as I said before, it's not so much go win the game. It's don't lose us the game.
Something else I like to go with that is how strong our running backs are and our tight ends are and our offensive line. So like he says, we don't have to go out and run it up, 35 or more points every game. We can sit there and grind it out with our extremely talented offensive line and running backs, and then turn around and then, like you said, have the small passing game, the quick release game, and then just hope our defense keeps us, dominant. And if they can turn around and have another amazing year with the turnovers and stuff, that's some exciting football.
Ladies and gentlemen, I just dropped in the YouTube live chat a link that you can join this and bring your personal opinions to this chat currently right now. Just if you want to do something like that, please use your YouTube name that you use in the live chat. That way I know who you are, because if I don't know who you are, I'm not going to let you bring it because you might be a troll. I don't want trolls on here doing this kind of stuff. All right. So, Swaggy, I see you're in here. Appreciate you being here, man. If you want to come in, I've had you on as a guest as well. Feel free to come in and join. Alex, question. What is the situation for the Colts this year that could either help the team underachieve or overachieve?
Well, we start with the negative. The underachieve, it's going to fall purely on Carson Wentz's arm. It was the big question of the season. Rivers was essentially done and retiring. Who's going to play quarterback? Talk about the most important position in terms of the entire sport. So in terms of underachieving, it's going to fall completely on Carson Wentz. If he comes in, and again, he doesn't even necessarily have to tear up the stat sheet, but as I said before, if he comes in, just takes care of the ball, something mild, let's say 4,000 yards, 25 touchdowns, we're sitting pretty. So underachieving would, even the statistic part, I would say definitely games played. He's got to at least suit up, I would say 14, at the minimum 14 games. Anything less than that, you're going to put us in that underachieved territory. Obviously, injuries in terms of the entire team, it starts with Wentz. After that, if you go to the defense side of the ball, and Leonard, really the next two. I'm really not too much about performance. It's more so the health thing. That's going to be the most important thing, underachieving or overachieving. As terms of overachieving, I said after the Wentz move that the ceiling of this team is a Super Bowl. It's shown what we've done these last few seasons in the Chris Ballard era, what he's brought in, the pieces he's brought, the culture he's changed on, and obviously the Wentz move. Through this team really achieve? I mean, am I comfortable saying that right now they win a Super Bowl? Probably not. So I guess winning the title would be the overachievement. But this team really is in that Super Bowl or bust territory.
See, my opinion, I think this Colts team could underachieve this year if they can't find a consistent pass rush with all the new guys and the young guys that they have on the D-line. Being that they use a zone-heavy defense. Now, they're going to have a top 10 run defense, probably top 5 run defense. This team is very good against the run no matter what, just because of the linebackers, the safeties, the D tackles that they have. They are very solid against the run. But when facing against really good quarterbacks who can pick apart a zone defense if given enough time, it makes you worry a little bit. Now, do I have a little bit of faith that the Colts will come up with some pass rush this year? Absolutely. But I think that a lot of this season is going to depend on that pass rush, on how much the Colts offense is going to have to do, right? Whether they can establish a run game and stay with a run game the entire time, or if they will have to lean on Carson Wentz and that passing game more often, depending upon how much pass rush they get. Because if they don't get much pass rush, then the offense is going to have to score 30, 35 points a game in order to win a game. But if they can get that pass rush, then it's possible that Carson Wentz can be sitting back there going, you know what, all I need is 3 touchdowns and we got this game. So I think that overachieving, underachieving on that side of the ball has an intense amount to do with the pass rush. Loyalist, what do you think?
Yeah, like you said, I feel like on the offensive side, it's got to be Carson Wentz. On the defensive side, I agree that if we don't get that pass rush, sorted out or whatever, then that's going to be another thing that also affects us. But also, I was thinking about, like, what if something happens to Xavier Rhodes? Okay, now we go from having that one cornerback spot secured and then the slot corner cover, but now we're moving pieces around, because is Kenny Moore going to stay in the slot? Or are we going to have to, start moving pieces around? And like we talked with, moving the offensive line pieces around. You start moving those pieces around. Now the slot corner is not as covered as well, because nobody's going to play that. I mean, I know TJ Carey's decent at it, but he's not a Kenny Moore. So now we're losing in 2 areas. You see what I'm saying? And then we also have in the second outside cornerback, nobody's stepped up to this point. Now, yes, I agree. I think Brock or, Marvell Tell will step up into those spots. But if they don't, man, it's going to make for a long year.
Interesting take on that, Loyalist. Rondo, Alex, what do you think? about on defensive side?
Yeah, Rhodes is definitely important when you talk about the number one corner. I agree with you wholeheartedly. Also, the fact that hypothetically he goes down, it ifs everything. I feel a bit confident though that Marvell Tell has shown great improvements. Obviously, he did not play last year, choosing to sit out. But the thing said, in the room is improvement in terms of moving from safety to that corner. I think we're going to see major strides from him. You know, the last time I was on with Lawrence Owen, he mentioned how TJ Carey, statistically wise, was the best corner on the team behind Rhodes. So, yes, obviously you never want to lose your number one guy, but TJ Carey is a very capable corner on this team who's definitely, flies under the radar in terms of what he brings to the table. But I agree with you, though. If Rhodes goes down, it does shift things. I think the secondary group, though, I don't think we should be too concerned. I agree with what both of you said earlier that the injuries in the pass rush in terms of defense side of the ball, that would hurt the most and essentially be the worst scenario.
All right. Let's talk about other things. Again, guys, in the live chat, if you're watching this in the live chat or later on in the comment section, drop questions, comments. What do you think this team is going to lean on? Is there something specific that you think that if the Colts do well, they are going to overachieve, and if they don't do well, that they are going to underachieve? Mainly, when I say underachieve, I say win the division. I feel like this is a team that should win the AFC South, even with Derrick Henry and Ryan Tannehill and that Tennessee Titans team. I feel like we should win this. Overachieving would be getting, in my opinion, to the AFC Championship or the Super Bowl. You get to those, that's an overachieving year. I'd like to see the Colts get to the playoffs, win a game. I think that is where I see this team currently at their mark. So, while I'm here, and we're 17 minutes in, I just want to kind of throw some stuff out here about my channel. Please, if you're watching this, smash that like button, hit subscribe if you're not subscribed, tag that notification bell so that you are notified next time I go live. Make sure all notifications are turned on. Don't forget, right there in the description of this video, right below Alex Rondo there is a link not only to my Patreon, shout out to all my Patreon supporters, where it's only $5 a month to get all of my stuff, no matter whether it's here, whether I join Bring the Juice or Dear Pat's Nation, or if I ever get up on your podcast there. Just all sorts of stuff, no matter what. And if I get 15 patrons, I will do live streams for Patreon only as well. Don't forget, there's also a link for the Super Chat. Please use that instead of the YouTube Super Chat. I would very much appreciate it. And then, of course, there is my merch shop.
Make sure to check out the Colts Law merch shop.
Come on, guys.
The link is in the description of this video. There are a ton of high-quality, reasonably priced items there that you can choose from. And all you got to do is just click one button, and you can go and check out all these great merchandise items. So Joseph Thornburg straight up says, if your goal is not winning the Super Bowl each and every season, then your bar is too low. My goal is to win the Super Bowl each and every year. That's not expectations. Okay, there's a difference. Obviously, you go into every season with the goal you need to win the Super Bowl, right? Because that's every team's goal walking into the season each and every year. But, I mean, realistic expectations, do I think they can? I think they have the team. If everything goes right, yes, I think this team could absolutely win the Super Bowl or at least get to it, right? But to me, there's a few things that have to go right with the Indianapolis Colts that are currently question marks in order to get into that specific kind of territory. What's up, Nicole Knopfsinger? Appreciate you being here. Thanks. Don't forget, smash that like button. Had to say that because that's my sister-in-law. So she better be hitting that like button. All right. So what else can we talk about that could really lean?
Something I was thinking about is, we sit there and we talk about if the individual play gets hurt or whatever. But something I think that really controls where we're going to end up this year is by how flexible our offense can be. So, in other words, do we go through a rash of drop passes or underwhelming performances or stuff to where it makes us more of a one-dimensional team, or maybe it takes away a certain part of our passing game or something? To me, I think that is the biggest asset that the team has, is because we've said before, we don't have that superstar wide receiver or that, but we have all the pieces that we need, probably that makes it a better situation because of the diversity. So I feel like if we ran into something that would slow that down, I think that would probably have a real big effect on us as well.
Okay. Anything else, Alex?
Yeah, I would say probably just the thing that it's an entire new offseason, and that's for everyone across the board. You're finally getting a training camp, you're getting the preseason. Remember, the teams who you're trying to compete against are also getting those same type of reps. Not to mention the fact that even going back to your earlier commentary of where it's the goal should be Super Bowl or bust no matter what. Yes, that is true, but it's kind of like you said. Is you at the end of the day, you separate that fanatic part and the analytic part. You've got to be somewhat realistic. And let's be honest, the Colts haven't won a playoff game in a few years. We never necessarily haven't not been AFC. We've competed with them, but when have we shown to be the favorites or beat the brakes off of teams? We've still got to show that we're capable of doing that, but really ready to say, like, okay, now we're Super Bowl or bust.
That is true. I mean, even last year we went to the playoffs, but when did we beat the brakes, as you say, off a team that we weren't supposed to, right? Give me a game where we walked in and won overly convincingly against a really good team. We didn't. Right? We either lost or it was a really close overtime or last play of the game type situation, like against Green Bay. Great game. We won it. But it took us an overtime and a special defensive play in order to get it done. We walk in and we play this year against, say, the Ravens. Right? Now, if we blow the Ravens out, 17 points, it might change my mindset on some things. My bar, my expectations might change, right? But if we walk in and completely, lay an egg against the Texans or the Jets, right? Because we play the Jets, that might change expectations as well. As a team, though, on players, coaches, staff members on the team, absolutely their goal is to win that Super Bowl no matter what. But as analysts and stuff, we absolutely we kind of keep an open mind on things. As a fan, obviously we want to win a Super Bowl. Question. You were talking about if players go out, what if players overachieve? Like, we don't know. In all honesty, like, what if T.Y. Hilton becomes T.Y. Hilton of 2014? What if Paris Campbell stays healthy and becomes like this superstar? What if Pay and Teray, what if Teray's able to stay healthy and Pay, and those two guys on passing downs become like superstars, right? 1-2 punch out of nowhere. I'm not saying all this stuff is going to happen, but it's a possibility, right? And that could change the outlook on a team as well, because no one is expecting, like, let's say Paris Campbell to have a huge breakout season because he's had injuries. No one is expecting Teray and Pay to split, say, 22 sacks amongst each other. Each one having 10, one having 12, something like that. It's possible, though. It's possible. What are some things that you believe that people
that you think could really be a lot bigger or a lot less than what the expectations are right now? Like, let's say the running game. Do you think that it's possible that our running game might prove to be less of a game than what a lot of people are expecting this season? I mean, if that happens, that's going to change the outlook of the Colts as well. Loyalist?
I think, honestly, our running game, the only thing that's going to slow our running game is our coaching. If they choose, if our passing and stuff is going good, because you sit there and you say, okay, if you lose a player or something, okay. The nice thing with the depth of our backfield is it's not just deep, but it's a very high quality. Okay. The one for me that I think has the biggest potential to make a swing is Toure. I feel like if he could come in and he can drop double-digit sacks, and I think that's not out of the realm of possibilities. Now, I understand, but if he comes back and he's sort of uses his starting point like where he was the game that he got injured and stuff, and if he can sit there and, week 1, week 2, get back in that to where that's his leaping off point, this year's, it'll be one of the best performances that we've had since Robert Mathis, to be honest.
Rondo, any thoughts about what I just mentioned?
Yeah, going along with that, I would honestly piggyback it this way: is in your case talking about the hypothetical of because really, if you kind of look at it, there's a lot of question marks on this team. I flip it to what do we know current Colts team at? What's an absolute? I would say that the list of absolutes is very small. I would say we can consistently, in pen, write that offensive line play is going to be elite. We can write that in permanent ink. We know we're getting that. Deep in the ball, I would say we know Stewart and Buckner are going to get pressure. We know Leonard's going to be always around the ball. I guess you could throw Martin Xavier consistency. But, I've named 4 or 5 guys that you field. There's a lot of question mark. So that's what it's really going to boil down to. Going back to the offense, the running game, I'm probably agreeing with you. We're probably the least concerned about because, it doesn't matter who you have in the backfield. Your running game lives in the line. The line play is going to be there. Backs should have it the easiest. But the receiver, and it's all question marks. Paris Campbell, can he stay healthy? Is Michael Pittman going to make leaps from what he made from his rookie season? Is Wentz, new team, yes, it's his old coach, but new Wentz essentially, is he going to fit in seamlessly and essentially build from what Rivers was able to do for this last year? So there's more question marks than there is absolutes. That's essentially what is going to really determine the way the season goes.
So I got a little thing about coaching. Last year, we saw our defense have 2 separate games in the same games when it come to halves of games, right? For the majority of the season, you would watch one half of a game by a defense, and they would be a lockdown, shutdown type defense, like against the Packers, second half, they were a lockdown, shutdown defense. Against the Ravens, the first half, lockdown, shutdown defense. And then the second half of the Ravens game, it opened up. The second half of the Pittsburgh game, they let up. In the first half of the Packers game, they weren't doing that well. Is this the year where we will see more consistency throughout a game rather than with going by halves of games? Is this something that the coaches can learn from? And maybe see a little bit more consistency on excellent play throughout rather than just, seeing 2 different games in a 60-minute period? Either one.
I would definitely attribute that in terms of last season due to the lack of preseason, lack of training camp, lack of really all of the off-season activities you can do, because a lot of those kinks are fixed. That's the time where those are fixed, and even the preseason. So the fact that you had literally none of that this year, and I mentioned the fact that in terms of last year, any team, you brought in new guys. So I would say last season bettered a lot of teams that were bringing back a lot of guys who have been on the already, starting, new to the system. Into this year, you should really for all teams see more consistency in general, just because you are finally getting those full off-season activities with, for the most part, no discrepancies.
Okay.
And to go on from that, we also last year we had to put some rookies in some key positions, hence Julian Blackman, and other rookies. This year, I mean, aside from Pay and maybe Granson, I don't see us having to lean on these rookies. This year Jonathan Taylor, he's going to come in and he's not going to have that acclimation period. He's going to come in and he's going to start hopefully from where he left off last year. So now, like you said, you have a higher starting point. And I just feel like with the experience that we've already acquired, plus, like you said, with just the cohesion that we're going to build through the off season and through the training camps and stuff that we didn't have access to last year, I just see that the consistency is probably going to fall in just out of just common sense.
Okay. I'm sorry, I'm going through this stuff right now. I am letting people know that they can still join. Still open if anyone wants to join real quick. Dropping it in Twitter chat and also here on YouTube. You guys, like I said, I dropped that chat link, the live chat, in the live chat, so that you can come in, join, give us your personal opinions on things and your thoughts, or maybe even ask questions, whatever you want to do. It's there, so feel free to use it. Guys, it has, unless someone decides they want to join, I'm just going to get into the live chat and discuss their thoughts, because we've kind of covered quite a bit, in my opinion. Like I said, Swaggy had a question. Wants to know if I can make a video updating everyone on what's going on with the team. Is it the same roster with Wentz? And really, offensively, I think it pretty much, I mean, we brought back just about everybody, right? And we have a reset button on some of our more capable players that got hurt early in the season last year. Guys like Marlon Mack, guys like Paris Campbell. So even though it is very much similar team that Wentz has this year as what Phillip Rivers had, if they can stay healthy, he has a better team around him than what Phillip Rivers had. At least that's my thoughts on that. I think that Carson has more. And you also got to remember, these guys are also another year in the system, right? So they understand the system just that little bit better.
And I think that Carson also, with his mobility and stuff, he fits a lot of more. He just fits better with the roster that we have. You know what I mean? Our offensive line is tremendous at pulling. Okay, now you can take Carson outside the pocket, things like that. So I just like how that's also going to enhance, like you said, the team's play.
Well,
not even that. Let's just piggyback off of that. How many times last season did Jacoby come in on fourth down because Phillip Rivers can't run a QB sneak? If anything, Wentz is going to allow Reich to be more aggressive than he already is due to the mobility and the fact that that's his guy from Philly.
Yeah. If you want to get your hand away from the camera there, Nikki, I will bring you on the chat, but I don't think everyone wants to see your hand straight up. So my sister-in-law is joining in, it looks like, but I'm seeing a lot of the ceiling rather than her. There she is. Boom. I got her. What's up, Nick? This is Nicole Knopfsinger, my sister-in-law. What's going on? What are your thoughts about this season, Nikki? Say something.
Oh, you can hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Hello? Oh.
You are live.
I think
you
they
can
gotta
see.
work.
Go ahead.
I think they're gonna have to work, and I just don't see it yet. I mean, we'll have, like I told you the other day, we're like that movie Friday when Smokey says, "We got the ham, but no burger. We got the sugar, no Kool-Aid. We got to be a well-oiled machine this season."
Okay. So you're still waiting because of the new faces. You don't think that they're that it sounds like you want to see some consistency, some guys working together and understanding each other a little bit better. Yeah, I got you. I understand. Yeah, so that's an interesting thought, because it is a big deal when you got pass rushers and the quarterback. It's very important pieces that have not been part of the team, who don't know the team. Rondo brings up about, they will have this offseason to get that kind of hopefully worked out, as opposed to last year when they didn't have it worked out.
We seem to have a habit.
I'm sorry?
We seem to have a bad habit of, this part, the offense will be great, but the defense lacks. And then we'll have the season where the defenders are great and the offense is, and we got to get it all together. New faces or not, we've got to be that, like I said, well-oiled machine. We got to fire on all cylinders.
Okay. Yeah. All right. You want to see the team play well on all sides of the ball the entire game, rather than just you having spurts throughout games as well. Yep. You get a game like that, this team can beat anybody. It doesn't matter who it is.
That's what wins Super Bowl.
That's kind of like what Tampa Bay was going through last year in the playoffs. They got hot at the right time, and they just seemed like they could beat anybody at that point. So yeah, I fully understand that. I get it, and I appreciate you bringing your opinion about that on, because as a fan, being having an outlook of going, I really want this team to succeed, but they really got to pull it together in order to do so. That you don't see that from fans very often. A lot of fans are out there.
When our guys walk on the field, they need to be gladiators. They need to fight for every inch. That's what football's supposed to be.
Yeah.
Or at least all the football games I remember watching. I remember the Unitas years.
Okay.
When we were kids and we'd watch them play.
Yep. All right, Nick. Appreciate you.
I gotta go. I'm at work.
Okay. Well, have fun, and thanks for joining.
You're welcome. Have a good show.
You too. Have a good day at work. All right, so that was my sister-in-law. She just wanted to come on and give her thoughts. Apparently, she was at work, so that's interesting. Yeah, this is a team. I feel like that if they can get everything put together, the sky's the limit for them. That is something that she is right about. That there's not a team out there that is as good as the Colts if they're firing on all cylinders. If you got the offense, the defense, and the special teams all working together well, they could beat anybody at any time, because they have such a diverse amount of skill sets on both the offense and the defense, right? A lot of speed on offense, but at the same time, there's a lot of physicalness with different players as well. So they could play multiple different looks
on offense and be able to win games in multiple ways. So that's a huge advantage for teams like that. Michael H, thanks for being here. Appreciate you in the live chat. Lucas, what's up? Nomadic Brian, sounds like much of the discussion includes Wentz. No doubt about it. It starts with him. Yes, that is true. I think everybody's a little worried about that. I think everybody is a little kind of sitting on eggshells, I think, is a bit of a way of... I mean, we all expect him to play better than what he did with the Eagles because he's on a better team. But depending upon how he plays... Alex? Sound like you was maybe wanting to say something?
Yeah, I would just say it's not so much necessarily Wentz, particularly his person, but it's the fact that as Colts fans, we're the QB turnover. We're going into our fourth quarterback in a fourth consistent year. You know, we're used to having that position locked up and worrying about the other guys. So it's unfamiliar territory for just Colts fans in general.
Okay. I don't know if this is a troll or not, but Michael H says, does anyone have thoughts on trading Darius rather than paying him? Loyalist, I'll throw it out to you. First, I'd say no. You pay the man, period.
Absolutely. I mean, you don't sit there and take elite talent. I mean, he's not just serviceable. He is elite. And, you know what I mean? And he's still on the uptick. I mean, this is his first contract. You're getting ready to get Darius at such a max level of performance, and not to mention what he brings to the team just in energy and just in, as the Colts refer, the juice. You know, I mean, if you were to get rid of him over money, you might as well not.
Rondo.
Yeah, you trade that man, goodbye to your locker room.
Right.
You destroy everything. You know, a guy who was heralded as the worst draft pick of all time in that draft, the second round guy is grinded, took over the starting role, never relinquished it, and as I've said on Twitter, Bobby Wagner, and then him. I can't put anyone else in that conversation. So, and even then, when you pay him, he's no matter what number you give him, he's going to be technically underpaid anyway. But yeah, if you get rid of him, you're obliterating everything.
Get you. I understand that. Michael A. says he's not trolling. He's incredible, just thinking you can get a first rounder and potentially another Bobby Okereke. So first off, let me explain this. We have yet to know what Bobby Okereke is going to be like as a full-time starter. All right, he shared snaps with Walker last season. We don't know what he's going to be like as a full-time at the Mike position. Hopefully he plays well. I have faith that he will, but that doesn't necessarily guarantee anything. And Alex brings up a great point about the locker room. I mean, Chris Ballard has been preaching, pay your own. Draft your own, pay your own. If he does not pay the best player on that defense, or arguably the best player on that defense, because there's also a couple other pretty good players on that defense as well, but arguably the best player on that defense, or at least attempt to, then you're giving a completely different message than what you're saying to other people, right? You know, saying out there. So that's definitely a big impact. And he brings the fire, right? He, like you say, he brings that juice out there on the defense. If the defense is not doing very well, he'll fire them up, even on the field, not just on the sidelines when a play is over. Right in the middle of the play, you know, he'll be firing them up, telling them, you know, let's get on our gas and go. So, yeah, Darius is one of those guys you absolutely pay no matter what. I would not be upset if they slightly overpaid Darius Leonard just a little bit because of all that he brings in the locker room, on the field, outside of the field, you know. So, because if it's a slight overpay long term, the way salary cap is going and the way people are getting paid these days, in 2 or 3 years, it won't be considered an overpay. If he's still producing the way he's producing.
And also, I wouldn't want Darius, Mr. I Need a Chip, to be amazing. I wouldn't want to be the focal point of that anger or that chip on his shoulder. You remember what Justin Houston did, at the end of the Houston or Kansas City game. When he's dropping them on the fourth down and could you imagine what Darius Leonard? Justin Houston is a kitten. He's a mouse as far as talking and stuff. When you put Darius Leonard on that, no, let's keep him on our side.
Absolutely. All right, guys, Warren says if Paris steps up and stays healthy, there isn't a receiver on this offense that'll end up with double coverage. And that would open up everything. And I get that. If Paris is able to stay healthy, he's a danger. And that means you can't cover T.Y. You can't cover Michael Pittman twice. You can't cover Paris. Because you got the running backs, you got tight ends and things. You can't double cover guys. Because if they do, then somebody is going to end up being open. Hey, Buck Dancer, thank you so much for the donation. Great stream. Keep up the good work. Can't wait for training camp. Me neither. It is nice to see that training camp, if you guys haven't seen the news, training camp is going to be 100% open to fans this season. So that's great. I will definitely be there. Now, whether or not I'll get a training camp media pass is another story. I'm in the process of contacting the Colts and seeing if I can't get one of those myself. But if not, I'll still be there and I'll still be reporting, so it doesn't matter. I'm just here to get content for you guys. That's just all there is to it. How important would it be for Paris Campbell just to stay healthy for the entire season this year? Alex?
Well, the importance comes is you didn't waste it. We've seen really when's the last. I don't want to say first one, but really who's been the last kind of top offensive draft pick? I understand JT was thinking. Who was the last really offensive draft pick to kind of come in and seamlessly fit? And the fact of the matter that he was correct me if I'm wrong, we took him high in the second round, correct?
Yeah.
So it's a guy that's is a day 2 pick. That's a guy who's supposed to be a day 1 starter, if you will. It's not only is it important for the sake of his team, it's important for his own paycheck, his own wallet. Because I would take if he injured again, I venture to say his NFL days are over.
Or at least with the Colts.
It's important in a lot of aspects. The success of his team, but it definitely. He'd for sure be done in Indy if he gets injured again. So it's kind of a lot's way in the balance when it comes to that. Himself personally, the success of this team, and like you mentioned, if that guy's healthy, that's your guy pops off the defense. So it's huge on a lot of fronts.
Yeah. Loyalist.
Yeah, I agree completely. And I think about the locker room and stuff, and you've got those players that go through certain things, like with Marlon Mack, the way everybody reacted when he went down last year. It wasn't just we lost a running back. These guys are personally connected in not just their struggles, but also they're really connected as far as they want each other to be successful. And I would have to imagine that with the way that Paris Campbell has stayed connected to the team, even through all these injuries and stuff, and I would just have to imagine that there's not a wide receiver in that room that's not hoping that, Paris Campbell, for his own sake as well as theirs. And that energy, if he's out there every week and he's opening things up, that snowball effect, that energy that would just be, could you imagine what the press is going to be like whenever we sit there and we see, okay, week 8, Paris Campbell's already got 600 yards in, and we're just like, let's go.
Yeah, it's exciting. I try not to get too excited over it because Paris has had issues trying to stay healthy his first 2 seasons. And so I don't get to it. But, man, every time I open up the All-22 film on Paris and look at the plays that he has done, even when he's not targeted, the man is open because of how fast he is, how quick on his cuts, because it's not just his straight line speed that makes him so dangerous. The man changes direction really fast too, and for someone that's 6 foot tall, it's one thing to have a 5'10" guy like T.Y. Hilton or Tyreek Hill who's really fast and can change direction real quick. But when you got a guy who's 6 foot tall and can do that, my goodness, that's scary. There's no one out there that has the ability to cover someone like that. You're either a really small corner that can cover a really fast, agile guy, or you're a big corner that can cover those 50-50 guys. You ain't doing both. So, in all honesty, the only way that you could cover a guy like Paris Campbell, who's healthy and in sync with his quarterback, is to get a guy not only underneath, but out in front and over the top at the same time, right? It's not just underneath over the top, because the guy's fast enough that he'll outrun both of them. You got to have a safety that's out in front of his route as well behind him. And it's very difficult to do that unless you've had a lot of practice doing something like that. So I have to kind of curb my enthusiasm a little bit, like I said, because even though he looks so amazing, when I watch his All-22, I have to remember there's not a lot of All-22 for the 2 years that he's been in the NFL. So hopefully he can stay healthy.
It'd be nice to see that number 1 jersey doing some special things again.
It would be. Michael A. says, do I need to make an account to donate to Streamlabs? No. Streamlabs, you can use a credit card or you could use PayPal for Streamlabs. Just out there, pretty easy, simple. Just let you know. That was a good question by Michael H. Guys, to be fair, also, if you do donate and use the Streamlabs link, it pops up. It goes over to my little list. If you're watching this on YouTube, you'll see a list over there on the right side of the screen. It stays there until it gets knocked off. So your donation stays all the time. And even if you donate or buy something from my merch shop or something and I'm not live, I will get to it the next time I go live because it's there and I can talk about it. It's not like, donating when someone, I don't know if you guys ever done this, but I have. I've donated to someone during their live chat and they end their stream and completely miss your donation and your question because they ended their stream. Well, that wouldn't happen with me because it stays there all the way through until it gets knocked off. So I will always make sure to shout you out, whether you're here or not, or whether it's during the stream or not. Alex, thanks so much for being here. Appreciate you as always. Rhonda, why don't you go ahead and tell everyone where they can find you again?
Yeah, definitely. Like I said, the Colts Beat. This podcast brought to you by the Say It Again Network. Obviously, follow us on Twitter at SIA Colts Beat. Anywhere and everywhere you listen to a podcast, iTunes, Spotify, Buzzsprout, Stitcher. We are on there, again, bringing some new content to you guys. As I've said, always, we're going to keep promoting it. Week 1 versus Seahawks, we will be there live. My friend is running a tailgate. We're going to have more details on that as we get close to the season, but definitely hope to interact and see all of you there in Indy, live from Lucas Oil.
And I'm thinking about being there myself. I don't have any tickets. I probably won't have tickets, but I might just show up for the tailgate itself. Michael, if you can't do it, then that's all good. I wouldn't know why it won't let you, but it's always worked for me. Loyalist, I'm sure you guys know who Loyalist is, but in case you don't, why don't you go ahead and tell everybody a little bit about yourself and where they can find you.
All right. You guys can get me on Twitter under Colts Loyalist 56. I'm here as often as law will have me, and I just love talking about the Colts football.
All right. Thanks, everybody, again. I got 22 in the live chat. Appreciate each and every one of you and those of you who watch afterwards. And until next time, I'm Lawrence Owen. This is Colts Law with Alex Rondo and Colts Loyalist. Until next time, have a good one.
Just because a player's not a household name doesn't mean we can't make him a household